Hello viewers, today we are starting with chronic inflammation. So what is chronic inflammation? It is a response of prolonged duration. It is a response of prolonged duration in weeks or months in which inflammation, tissue damage, and attempts at repair coexist, but in varying combinations. Inflammation, tissue damage, and attempts at repair. So chronic inflammation, it may follow acute inflammation. When acute inflammation is not resolved, then it can progress to chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation may arise de novo. When previously there is no manifestation of acute inflammation, it can arise de novo as a low grade, slower in onset response that doesn't have prior manifestations of acute inflammation. Acute inflammation. Now, what are the causes of chronic inflammation? So, chronic inflammation occurs in response to agents that are difficult to eradicate. So, causes. First is persistent infections, like certain microorganisms like Mycobacterium, viruses, fungi, parasites, which cannot be eradicated by the immune response. So, chronic inflammation, in order to contain that infection to that site, chronic inflammation occurs. Second is hypersensitivity reactions. Now, what happens in hypersensitivity reactions? There is excessive and inappropriate immune response to agents like autoantigens. In this case, immune response develops against one's own cells or tissues. This leads to autoimmunity or autoimmune diseases. Agents like environmental agents or antigens, which are potentially harmless. For example, allergic reactions in bronchial asthma. So the immune response, it is not benefiting the body because these antigens or the agents are harmless. It is causing only the damage or the disease. Third is prolonged exposure to toxic agents. Prolonged exposure to toxic agents. These agents can be exogenous, these can be endogenous. So in exogenous, the example is silica. Silica, which is a non-degradable substance that if it is inhaled for a prolonged duration, it can lead to inflammatory lung disease. And what do we call it? Silicosis. Silicosis. It leads to silicosis. Endogenous, the example is cholesterol and other lipid products. Lipid products. They can induce chronic inflammation in the arterial wall. Partly they can induce chronic inflammation. There are other factors also, and this is seen in atherosclerosis. So these are the main factors: persistent infections, hypersensitivity reactions, and prolonged exposure to toxic agents. Now, what is the morphology of chronic inflammation? The morphologic features of chronic inflammation. Two patterns of chronic inflammation, two morphologic patterns can be seen. Chronic non-specific inflammation, chronic non-specific inflammation, and granulomatous inflammation. We will be talking about granulomatous inflammation in the next video. So it is seen in certain conditions in which the macrophages are activated and they resemble epithelial cells, and they have a special name, epithelioid cells. So we will discuss about in what conditions granulomatous inflammation is seen in the next video. So here we are talking only about the chronic non-specific inflammation. So what are the features? First is infiltration by or infiltration with mononuclear cells, and these cells are macrophages, lymphocytes, plasma cells. So these cells are seen in the inflammatory infiltrate in chronic inflammation. Second is tissue damage or tissue destruction. So tissue destruction occurs because of the persistent offending agent this can be microorganism or any foreign body. And tissue damage also occurs by inflammatory cells. Macrophages contribute to tissue damage in chronic inflammation. Third is attempts at repair. Now this is done by connective tissue deposition at the sites of tissue damage there is angiogenesis and fibrosis. First, there is granulation tissue formation. Granulation tissue formation. Granulation tissue has a soft pink granular gross appearance. Granular gross appearance. And it is characterized by proliferation of fibroblasts, proliferation of thin-walled blood vessels, or blood vessels or capillaries, and this is called as angiogenesis. And these are present in loose extracellular matrix, and there is infiltration by mononuclear cells, predominantly the macrophages. So this describes the granulation tissue. Then there is this granulation tissue is then replaced by connective tissue and fibrosis occurs, and then fibrosis or scarring occurs, which leads to healing. Now, what are the various cells and mediators in chronic inflammation? The cells, these are macrophages, they play important role. Lymphocytes, then mast cells, eosinophils, plasma cells, and also in some condition neutrophils, they also play important role in chronic inflammation. So these are the cells, their role we will study in chronic inflammation, and other mediators that play important role in chronic inflammation. Cells and mediators in chronic inflammation. So what is the role of macrophages? Macrophages are the dominant cells in chronic inflammation. These are the dominant cells. So macrophages are tissue cells derived from hematopoietic stem cells in bone marrow in postnatal life, and progenitors in embryonic yolk sac and fetal liver in early development or during embryogenesis. And what are monocytes? Monocytes are the circulating cells of this lineage. These are the circulating cells, and they arise from the hematopoietic stem cell, which give rise to committed progenitors. Then they give rise to monocytes. Monocytes in circulation, they have a half-life of 1 day or a lifespan of 1 to 3 days. These monocytes, they can migrate into tissues and there they can differentiate into macrophages. And these macrophages have a lifespan ranging from 3 months to years, several years. So these macrophages, there are some specialized macrophages also. Specialized macrophages in some specific locations in various tissues and organs. For example, the Kupffer cells, which are present in liver, the sinus histiocytes in lymph nodes and spleen, microglia in CNS, the alveolar macrophages in lung, So from where these arise? These arise from the progenitors in the embryonic yolk sac and fetal liver, and then they during development they migrate to the developing liver, CNS, lung, brain, and they persist there throughout life, and these are called as resident macrophages or tissue resident macrophages. And the macrophages, they are distributed in connective tissue. These are found in connective tissue also. So all these, the macrophages and the monocytes, they form the mononuclear phagocyte system. Now the monocytes, when they migrate into tissue, they differentiate into macrophages. This is seen in inflammation. This is typical of macrophages seen in inflammation, and also the macrophages which are present in some tissues like skin, intestinal tract, Now what is the role of macrophages? So macrophages play important role in chronic inflammation. First is removal or elimination of the offending agent, the microbes, and the damaged tissues or cells. They are professional phagocytes, so this is done by phagocytosis. Second is they produce cytokines. Like interleukin 1, TNF, various chemokines, and other mediators of inflammation like eicosanoids. So they play important role in initiation and propagation of inflammatory reaction. Third is macrophages play important role in healing and repair. Fourth is macrophages present, I'm using different pen. Macrophages present, they process and present antigens to T cells, and in turn they respond to the signals from T cells, and this forms a feedback loop. feedback loop, and this is very important in defense against microbes through cell mediated immune response, through cell mediated immune response. So these are the main 4 functions. Now the macrophages can be activated by 2 pathways. First is the classical pathway, second is the alternative pathway. And the activation by these 2 different pathways, the macrophages, they become enriched with different functional activities. Now let's see how the macrophages become activated and what are the functions that they perform in these 2 activation by these 2 different pathways. So this diagram shows classical and alternative macrophage activation. So here the macrophage is activated by classical pathway and this is the alternatively activated macrophage. M1 is classically activated macrophage, M2 is alternatively activated macrophage. So the in classical pathway, the macrophage is activated by microbial products which engage the toll-like receptors like the endotoxin, by interferon gamma, and by foreign substances. So this macrophage, it produces reactive oxygen species, nitric oxide, lysosomal enzymes, and this enhances the ability to phagocytose and kill the microbes. So this enhances the microbicidal action, and also it elaborates interleukin 1, 12, interleukin 23 and other cytokines and chemokines which enhance or which promote the inflammatory response. So the classically activated macrophage, they have the role in host defense by killing the microbes and by propagating the inflammatory response. The alternatively activated macrophage, so these macrophages are activated by interleukin 4, interleukin 13, and the role of alternatively activated macrophage is to terminate inflammation and initiate repair. So here the macrophage elaborates the growth factors, transforming growth factor beta, which promote tissue repair and fibrosis, and interleukin 10, transforming growth factor beta, these have anti-inflammatory effects. Now the M1, it can be assumed that first M1 appears for host defense and then M2 appears, but this is not so, because in inflammatory response both these populations can be seen, and sometimes there is a phenotype of macrophage that cannot be classified into either M1 or M2 type. So this is not that clear, this is M2 or this is M1. Now we study the role of lymphocytes in chronic inflammation. Lymphocytes play important role in amplifying and propagating chronic inflammation. The lymphocytes can be activated, both B and T lymphocytes, they can be activated by the microbial antigens as well as environmental antigens, and this amplifies and propagates the chronic inflammation. So they play important role in making the chronic inflammatory reaction severe and persistent. And lymphocytes, They are seen as a dominant population in various autoimmune diseases, and they play important role in granulomatous inflammation. Granulomatous inflammation. Now CD4 plus T cells, they secrete a variety of cytokines, and they are divided into three subsets. These are Th1 cells, Th2 cells, and Th17 cells. Th1 cells secrete interferon gamma, and it plays important role in activation of macrophages by classical pathway. Th2 cells secrete interleukin 4, interleukin 5, interleukin 13, and it plays important role in recruitment and activation of eosinophils and activation of macrophages by alternative pathway. Macrophage activation, and here classical pathway. Macrophage. Th17 cells, they produce interleukin 17, and it plays important role in recruitment and activation of neutrophils and monocytes. So the Th1 and Th17, these cells play important role in defense against bacteria, viruses, and these are seen in autoimmune diseases. The Th2 cells, they play important role in allergic reactions and in infections by helminthic parasites. Now the macrophages and lymphocytes, they interact in a bidirectional way. The macrophages, they present antigen to the T cells, and they secrete interleukin 12, which stimulates the T cells, and in response to that it produces cytokines which recruit and activate macrophages. It produces cytokines, TNF, and various chemokines, and interferon gamma, which activates the macrophages, and these activated macrophages then repeat the cycle. They present antigens to the cells, they secrete interleukin 12, and this cycle is repeated, and the prolonged interactions between macrophage and lymphocyte lead to granuloma formation. This plays important role in granulomatous inflammation, this interaction. The details of the granuloma, the morphology, and the various conditions we will discuss in the next video. Now B lymphocytes and plasma cells which secrete antibodies, they are also seen in chronic inflammation. And sometimes the lymphocytes, the antigen presenting cells, the plasma cells, they accumulate and they cluster to form lymphoid follicles, Such type of lymphoid follicles are seen in rheumatoid arthritis, in Hashimoto's thyroiditis, And this organization into lymphoid follicles, there is a term for this. These are called as tertiary lymphoid organs. These are called as tertiary lymphoid organs. So this was the role of lymphocytes in chronic inflammation. There are other cells like eosinophils, mast cells, neutrophils, which also play important role in chronic inflammation. Next is the role of eosinophils. Eosinophils are seen in immune reactions by IgE and in parasitic infections. So they are recruited by a specific the chemokine eotaxin, which is secreted by leukocytes and the epithelial cells. And the eosinophils, they have granules which contain major basic protein. This is a highly cationic protein and it is toxic to helminths. And this can also damage the host cells. Next is the role of mast cells. So mast cells, they are seen in both acute and chronic inflammation. They are seen in allergic reactions to food, insect venom, drugs, and they are seen in anaphylactic shock. So the mast cells, they have receptors for the Fc portion of IgE, and they bind IgE through these receptors, and when this antibody combines with specific antigen, then degranulation of mast cells occurs, and there is release of histamine and prostaglandins. They also play important role in chronic inflammation because they secrete a variety of cytokines. And this helps in propagating the chronic inflammatory response. This propagates the chronic inflammatory response. Now, role of neutrophils. Neutrophils, they are characteristic of acute inflammation, but they can be seen in certain conditions in chronic inflammation also. So this can be induced by the microbes or the mediators that are released by the macrophages and lymphocytes. And the neutrophils, they can persist for months in chronic inflammatory response. For example, the bacterial infection of bone, osteomyelitis. Neutrophils can persist for months. The neutrophilic exudate can be seen for months, and such type of this pattern is called as acute on chronic inflammation. So in this video we studied the definition of chronic inflammation, the causes of chronic inflammation, the morphology of chronic inflammation, and the cells and mediators in chronic inflammation. In the next video, we will be studying about granulomatous inflammation. I hope you like the video. For more such videos, please subscribe my YouTube channel and do not forget to like and share my videos. Thanks for watching.